Hi guys, we're moving on to task 2 and we're going to explore our drive and get ourselves familiar with how it looks. So this is your Google Drive. Remember to always double check to make sure that you are in your Murray school account when you're working on school activities. You can also toggle between different accounts here. You can go into different accounts here. You can see where one of the students have actually signed into my computer here. You can toggle between there, but just always make sure that you're in the correct account when you're working on activities that go in those accounts. So I'm looking at my drive, and the setup is you first have your suggested up here, which is what you've been working on recently. They'll have like the top 4 things listed here. So you can see the things you've been working on for this, that I've been working on for this module. Underneath it, we have folders. These are my folders. You see a bunch of different folders right now, and with this, I'm in grid view. You can go here and you can change it to list view. Okay, and as you can see in Google Drive, all of your folders are in alphabetical order. That will not change. The only thing that can put them in a different order is if you use an emoji. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So if I've added emoji in front of Excel, that's the file that I access the most. So I put an emoji there. So now the rest of them are in alphabetical order. So I like grid view better than list view. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it back to grid view. Now, if you look below your folders, you're going to see other files. These are all the files that have not been organized yet. I have not put them where I want them to belong, so you can see this now. Another thing I want to talk to you about is the icons. These icons here. So you see on the files you have different icons. This one here is a PDF. This is your Google Slides. Your purple here is Google Forms, but I also want to show you some others. This is Google Sheets, but if you'll notice here, here's another one that's green. It has an X on it. This is actually a Microsoft Excel file. So Google Sheets and Excel, they're a lot alike. Just one is Google's product and the other is a Microsoft product. That's also the same with Word. I'm going to try to find one. I know I have a Microsoft Word document that I've downloaded. But when it comes to downloading file, you can download any type of file into Google. And that's another thing that I really like about using Google Drive. Well, I don't show one here that has a Word. I'll show you one in my shared drives, but if you see here, here's the blue Google Docs. The difference is the Microsoft version will also be blue, and it'll have a W inside of that box. That's what that icon will look like. And you'll notice the more you use it, the more you'll be familiar with what the icons are. That's another thing too, that they're pretty easy to understand what they mean. So if you'll look over here to the left, I can create and upload new things here. Okay, I can do a file, folder, or any other. It gives you some more add-ons here, and we'll talk about those later in other tasks. But in a Google product, you're always going to have this big plus sign here in any Google tool that you can access to always create something new. Then you have your priority. This is basically what they think is important to you based on the schematics that they run. It's not necessarily what you think is a priority. And I'll show you later on in a different task how to take that off if you don't like it. And then, of course, you got your drive here, which is what we've been going through. And if you click, you can see this is another way that you can view everything that's in your drive. These are the folders that we talked about earlier, and you can break them down. So I'm going into my Excel folder, which is one I use very often, and you can just keep breaking those down until you get, I mean, there's so many different places that you can do. So sometimes people prefer to work with their folders from this side. So it's, like I said, totally up to you how you want to do that. And you'll notice again, they're in alphabetical order, except if you when you add the emoji, it puts it at the top, so it has more easy access. Then next, let me pull this back up. You have your shared drives, okay? And this is where you can look at anybody that has shared a drive with you, would be here. And then you have your shared with me. Now, anytime someone sends you something or shares something with you, it's going to come here. And it's also going to come to your email. So you're going to see them in different places. And the best thing you need to do with your shared with me is if something's important to you that you want to access, you need to go ahead and put that in your drive. And we'll get to that later, but you always want to move into your drive anything that's important that you're going to be working to. Now, a lot of people get frustrated if you like organization. I'm kind of hit or miss. I'm kind of all over the place. Sometimes my things will be organized, sometimes it won't. But they get frustrated with so much and they're shared with me. So let me go over that real quickly. It shows down here how much storage that you've used. But let me remind you that with a Google EDU account, like we have, you have unlimited storage. So you don't need to get worried about all the stuff that's in your shared with me. Don't start going through and deleting stuff. Just ignore it. The only thing you need to remember is if it's important to you, you need to move it to your drive. If it's not, ignore it. Don't get frustrated trying to organize these files because you're always going to have tons of stuff when you get into Google Classroom with your students' assignments. All those things are going to end up here too. So don't get overwhelmed with what you're trying and start trying to clean up your shared with me file. Just ignore it. And if it's something you want to keep, make sure you put it in your drive. Okay, so next is your recents. You could click there. It will show you anything you've used today or last week, earlier this month. So that's how that is organized. And then also, these actually have some videos from a class that I did. Anything that you want, if you want to mark something important, you can star it to always get to it quickly, and it would come into this location. And then, of course, you have your trash. So there's lots of different things, but that's your main setup for Drive. And then over here is one thing I love about Google, and this is in a lot of different Google tools. So it's like you have your calendar that's easy access, and keep and task. Okay, the good thing about this is there's other add-ons. So these are the ones that you don't have to leave your drive to access them. So if you wanted to check your calendar out to see what's going on today or tomorrow, you can access without leaving your drive. If you wanted to add an event, you can do it here. Now, if you wanted to leave, you could by clicking here because it would open in a new tab and it would take you to your full calendar in a different location. But the good thing is they list these here to the right, so they're easy access, and I can get to them quickly. So this was a quick look at how your drive is organized. Now it's your turn, so please go to your Google Drive and explore your setup.